Let's try and understand this graph, y equals cos of x. So look for something that's true in real life. In real life, you can always have a circle of radius 1. Let's say the angle here is 32. Here you've got a right angle triangle here. And what is the length of the base of the triangle? Let's call it w. Remember, we created a circle of radius 1. So you would say, oh, cos the angle equals w over 1. W over 1 is just w. So what that means is this length here, the base of the triangle, is simply you cosing the angle. Whatever the angle is, if you want to know the length of this base, you just cos that angle. So if the dot is, let's say here, if the dot is here, let's say this angle here is now 70 degrees. If you want to know this length here, then you just simply cos the angle 71. If the dot is here and you want to know the length of that base, you just simply cos the angle. So what this is saying is that if that angle there's x, and you want to know the base, you just simply cos the angle. That will then give you the length of the base. So if you want to know what this graph looks like, as the dot is moving around, so the dot starts here at an angle of 0, and then as it moves around, this here is 45 degrees, so that's right here. And then as the dot moves around, when it gets to an angle of 90, that's right here, and then it moves around to 180, that's here, and as it moves around, this here is 270, and then back to 360. So for you to try and understand this graph here, remember the length, the length of that base of the triangle represents cos. So we don't know what this graph looks like, but as the dot moves around, we're going to look at the base of that triangle to understand this cos thing. So hang on, let's get back to the beginning. So we've got a circle of radius 1. When the angle is here, when the dot is right here, the angle is 0. What is the base? Because remember, cos is really the length of that base of that triangle. So when the dot is here, the length would be 1. So here the angle is 0. Here the angle is 0. Cos, which is the length of the base, is actually 1. So we would have to put a cross here because it passes through 1. And then as it moves around, when so you can see, let's say the dot is right here, the cos, whatever that may be, is this length here. And then as you move around, you can see that the base is getting smaller and smaller because it was at 1, but now it's getting shorter. And then let's say the dot is here, you can see that the cos is getting smaller and smaller. So by the time it gets to 90, the base would be 0 because it's directly above the origin. So the base would be 0. So it must pass through here. Now as it moves around, so let's say it's here at the moment, you can see that cos is this length here. So when the dot is here, you can see that cos is getting bigger and bigger. By the time it gets to 180, the base would be at -1 because this is -1, this is +1. So when the dot moves around and it gets to 180, the base would be -1. So 180, it would be at -1. That's this -1 here. And then it moves around. Here you can see that this here's the base, and the base is getting smaller and smaller. Let's say the dot is here. You can see that the base is getting shorter and shorter. You can see that the base. So by the time it gets to 270, the base, the width of that triangle, the base is actually 0 at 270. So you know it must pass through here. And then as it moves around, so let's say here, you can see that the base is kind of small. Let's say the dot is here. The base is getting bigger. By the time it gets to 360, you can see that the base is back to 1. So the base is back to 1. So the graph will actually do something like this. So the next time you're asked to draw the y equals cos graph, just do this. It starts at 1, and then just do one cycle. One cycle looks like this. So this here is 360. This here is 180, which is this thing here, and let's look at the negative. Let's take the negative into account, and the negative angle actually means this. Hang on. A negative angle means this. This here is increasing and it gets to 90. So you going the other way, this would be negative 45 degrees. This will be all from here to here would be negative 90. So when you go in the negative direction, you're actually, the dot is actually moving like this. So when you get to negative 90, the width would be 0. So it must pass through here. As it turns out, the graph will look like this. Well, when you sketch the cos graph, just do this: 1, -1. One cycles like this, and then if you want to go in the negative direction, it will be like this. So one cycle in the negative direction would be negative 360. This one here would be 360, and this one here would be similar to this. This is 180. This will be negative 180, and so on. Okay.